Welcome to Stories from the Top. I'm your host, Lance Tanaka, and I'll be interviewing successful executives from the best of the best global companies about leadership and their journey. I've known Lorna Chen, managing partner of Shearman and Sterling Greater China, for a number of years. Let me tell you, she's impressive. I asked her to describe herself in 3 words, and she said, "I don't quit." That is the epitome of her. Lorna, thank you. Really appreciate your time. I know you're incredibly busy.
No problem, Lance.
Okay, so I'd like to start off on a question about what advice would you give your younger self?
I would say be confident and ask for help and advice. There are always a lot of people around you, be your co-workers, your partners, your advisors, your mentors, always ready to help. But if you don't tell them that you need help, then they don't know, right? So I would say throughout the years, I could have gotten more help. I took advantage of, obviously, by asking for help, and I've had terrific help from wonderful people around me throughout the years, making who I am now. But if I'm talking to my younger self, I would say be more confident asking for help. That will make me better.
Yeah, as we work here in Asia, what we find a lot is that younger people are afraid to talk to more senior people because they think, "Oh, I'm insignificant," or "They're too busy." So, is that what you would? How would you deal with that as a younger person?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and I can give you another story because I'm working with my 12-year-old son to solve some of the school issues because he's a preteen, preteen, and going through some of the confidence issues as well in school. So sometimes he's frustrated, he doesn't know what to do in school. My advice to him is always go ask your teacher, right? And he would say, I'm afraid. I don't want to talk to adult. I'm so small, Yeah. So taking that into a working environment, I think it's the same, especially in Asia. Especially people who just started to work and who are junior in the rank. They take it for granted that their seniors or their boss don't think seriously about them and don't have time for them. Actually, many times it's the opposite. Now sitting where I'm sitting, if any of my team members comes to me, I would be very, very happy because that will save a lot of time going forward. A lot of my time, a lot of their time, a lot of the whole team's time to make work more, get work done more efficiently and get, the young people, the younger associate or the younger team members better trained. So there are a lot of advantages both from the younger and the junior members of the team and the senior members of the team. All they need to do is communication. That's very important in the daily working process.
Now, you've interviewed a lot of people, and you're doing some now. And then if you look at the past, and of course you're interviewing for their experience or a functional skill or something. But is there something that you're looking for? Is there something that, when it comes across, that really convinces you, hey, this is the right person?
I think if somebody comes to me, and this happens a lot, and over the years, I would say if somebody's sitting there that's talking about what they're interviewing for doesn't really look like he or she is interested, just really reciting from a script, I can tell now. And also, if he or she is not enthusiastic about what he's interviewing for and this job, that means that he or she, they didn't do their homework. And just compare, because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, amongst my team, we were talking about hiring a legal assistant, for example, a very junior member, and it's tough market, everybody, because I talked to my team members individually, every member raised one example to me and said, I like that guy. Lorna, you will be very impressed because when he comes to the interview, he brings a book with tabs on it. And he would start to ask questions, very professional questions about what we do on a daily basis. And he would flip the pages. What he told us was that from a month ago, when he learned about the job opportunity, he learned what we do, our work, and then he got the books, read the books, have the questions tabbed, ready to talk to us about it. It was out of everybody's expectation, but everybody was so impressed. And when it was, because I'm the boss, so usually I'm the last person to interview this junior person candidate, right? So they've screened, I think they've probably screened a dozen people, and this guy was the last left the recommended candidate. And as my team members told me, the guy came with a book with the tabs and also asked me some questions. So I would say that's a long way of saying if the candidate has done his or her homework, enthusiastic about the job, I don't think we'll get it wrong. He'll do a terrific job.
You want to get hired by Lorna? Show enthusiasm, be prepared. Like the person she mentioned, he came with a notebook of tabs with questions to ask. That's prepared. Yeah, we were talking prior to this interview about Shearman and Sterling being a global firm. What would you see as the cultural challenges of being an effective global leader?
That's a very tricky point. I think first of all, really is to understand being a global law firm, a global company, is really to come down to the nitty-gritty details of working in a local market, and experience of the people working on the ground, hiring local people, and trusting the local team, especially the local management team, would be very, very important. The local team don't have to be relocated from the headquarters. They can be locally hired, but there has to be that trust over there. Otherwise, the management won't be effective. And being the headquarters, being the senior management, because they don't have the on-the-ground experience and not necessarily the cultural understanding as well. And if they don't have good advisors, I would say, these senior management, on-the-ground senior management would be the advisors to a large degree to the headquarter senior management. Then, time and time again, you will see failures.
So that's from the perspective of headquarters. Right. New York is the headquarters for Shearman and Sterling, and operating in China where you're operating. Okay, that's one challenge. What about from the standpoint of the local person? Now you hire a partner. What would be the challenge for them working in this global environment?
I think also that will involve two aspects. One aspect is the local partner or the local rainmaker, right? The local team, whatever that is, for them to understand that they are now joining a global platform. It's different from, for example, if they came from an otherwise local platform. They have to be very mindful of, for example, the European platform, the US platform, need to work together, and the mutual understanding of different platforms is also very important. So as long as they're mindful of that, the communication will come through, hopefully, right? Partly. Now, the local senior management, like what I'm in on, I think from that perspective, because I have I wouldn't say I have a special situation, but I'm in a very good situation in that I've worked in the headquarters for many years before coming back to Asia. So my role, I think, which is a critical one, is if we have a local hired, which is very often is the case, right? We have local hires, we have to trust the local team. I need to be a bridge. I need to be a bridge of the local team, the local hire who didn't have the work experience or communication experience or track record with the headquarters or the other global platforms, but I have. So I can help them to communicate and express their views and get the headquarters support over their strategy. So that's very critical, bridging role, I would say.
Okay. What advice would you give to that local partner? Let's say they've come from a local law firm. They've now joined a global law firm. What advice would you give to them on how to be able to operate more effectively in this global environment, especially with New York being the headquarters?
Right. I would say, obviously the other way is true as well, is to speak the global language, not just focus on the local platform experience, really just to, take on it, because it's a globalized business. There's got to be cross-border mindsets, right? So from that perspective, be proactive, talking about the global language, I would say, when tackling the local problems or issues to resolve. I think that will carry the local team a long way. Obviously, as I mentioned, I as the local leader would have to play a role as well to give them necessary guidance.
Advice to local partners, she said, speak the global language. Think, act, and network globally. Okay, now you're a woman, and you're leading the practice here in China. So, what advice would you give to a woman, a female lawyer that's just starting her career in this global firm or in a global firm? What advice would you give to her?
I would say be confident, very much the same as what I would give to the younger self. Be confident. Anything, there shouldn't be any limitation or glass ceiling. Believe in it. There may be in the future, but if you don't start with believing that there's none, then there will be. So start with a belief, try very hard for it. That would be my advice.
Okay. Now, I've worked with a lot of senior partners in many different law firms, and one thing I find different about you is that what I find for most lawyers, they're very internally focused on their practice, on their knowledge, research, all that. What I find different about you, yes, you do that, but you're also very externally focused. You go out there and you network, and you're looking at trying to build the business. So how important is it for a lawyer to expand their network? How important is it for them to build these win-win relationships externally?
This is a very interesting topic, and I think it's fascinating as well. Now, I think before I answer this question, the question to ask everybody actually is, do you want to be an execution person, just a lawyer, sitting in your office, get your documents perfect? Is that what you want to do for your life? Which is perfect, right? That can be a perfect career. Or you want to go out and build up a practice. In another word, build up a business. I'm the second type of person. Obviously, I didn't realize that in the first few years of my career, but I found that I got excited when I, for example, talk to people, talk to clients, and I started to generate business from people I didn't know, when I was a 6-year associate, for example, nobody was asking me to generate business, but I did. And then I realized, oh, this is great, right? And then very interestingly, when I didn't really, in my career, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a business person. So that may have explained, maybe it's my personality, but I always liked the excitement and the feeling of accomplishment after seeing the result of a business, like a new case or new sector of a business, instead of the reaction that I have for any new legal issue or matter people ask me would be a typical example like blockchain or bitcoins, etc. Some of the very new technologies, AI in law, etc. Some people would start by saying, "This is not my area. I don't know about it. Let's just go back to what we do." But my reaction would be, this is interesting. Let's explore it, right? And again, these are just examples, but a lot of opportunities would come up from these curiosities and explorations. Some may work, some may not, but it's okay, right? So I think this is really going to touch, because if you don't talk to new people, if you don't network, the knowledge will never come. And there will be no new practice, right? And you would just be in your office, doing, drafting your perfect documents, which is, again, totally fine. So, if the answer to the question is, do you want to be a business person as a lawyer, which is a lot of almost a requirement for any partner now. Then networking is extremely important. That's almost like you're a banker doing your deals. You're a private equity person. You're any kind of business person doing business. Networking is extremely important.
Lorna is different than most lawyers I've coached. She's a business builder. She's focused on networking and building relationships externally. Lorna brought up an insightful point. She realized at some point her passion was to build network, was to build a practice, and she leverages that passion. I remember the watershed moment, I think, was 2008. Prior to 2008, when we were working with financial services people, partners, senior partners, there wasn't a lot of focus on external, on networking. Let's fill the pipeline. But since 2008, I've seen a lot of lawyers having to move that direction because it's getting tougher. It's tougher to get business now. More competitive, costs, COVID, a lot of things are happening. So how important is it and you said that if you want to be a lawyer that's really focused on internal, on the technical, fine. But how important is it going to be for these partners going forward to build a discipline to do external?
I think if you want to be a partner, you pretty much have to be a business person. There will be a very small percentage of partners who are solely executing for other partners, for rainmakers, or for, so to speak, firm clients. But, no matter whether you're a bank or a law firm or any kind of company with customers, which customer can be considered as your permanent company client is very hard. There will be loyalty, there will need to be very good professionals, but at the end of the day, good service, and plus knowledge, plus the expertise. There's a very complicated service model now. There's got to be a internal expert person. There's got to be some areas that he or she cannot provide, and that will be supplemented by the business-oriented rainmaker type of partners, right? So in order to do that, I would say there are different ways of being external. Don't get me wrong, to be external, technical skills are still very important. It's taken for granted. but it's not the only thing the only item that needs to be on the agenda now, right? So I can spend, being external, I need to spend 2 to 3 hours doing a presentation to the senior management, including the CEO of a potential client, talking about all the things I know. Within half an hour, we have to get to the bottom of it. And if the business team is interested, then we can go an hour and a half, really talking about the details. But if you can't use that 30 minutes to really get to the bottom of your business, then you're done, right? So it's not like you can't have the expertise. You can just talk about the general marketing stuff, right? So that's one. And the other is, there are different ways of being external, being it writing articles, going to webinars, going to seminars, talking to people, provide trainings to clients. If you're a quiet person, you don't have to be speaking on a conference with 1,000 people in front of you. There are other ways to be external. But the mindset is very important. I happen to be a person, again, who liked to speak in front of 1,000 people. But you don't have to be there, because I see a lot of my partners, very successful partners who just don't speak at all. They write, they talk to clients, like the example that I gave, doing presentations and get it to the bottom of the issues in front of the senior management. That's equally efficient external networking and activities to win clients and business.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out about you versus some of the other partners, your colleagues, was that you were a business development person. You were external focused. Maybe you don't have to share your secrets, but what is your approach? Why are you so good at building these external relationships? Why are you so good at getting new business? Is there a certain approach, a certain technique that you use?
I don't think I have any special secrets, but I would say whenever I talk to clients, whether it's the CEO or the chairman or the general counsel or even a working level, team member, be genuine. I would put my heart into helping them, whatever their problem is. The business level person, the back office, the back office, the lawyer and the general counsel and the in-house counsel and the CEO, they have different thoughts, different agendas, and different needs. Each person I deal with is, I deal with them, I talk to them full-heartedly. I think that's, if there's a secret, that's, be sincere, be honest, and be genuine, ready to help.
Lorna points out to be genuine, be yourself, be more of who you are. Well, I don't know if we can call that a secret, but actually it is. That's a unique approach, because when we work with these professional services people, there's a tendency to be in sell mode. Here's everything I know. Here's what we can do for you, and so it's like selling, and the focus is really on me. As the attorney. But you're talking more about be genuine, be honest. Would you say that the interest for you is?
Absolutely. Just give you an example. 2 days ago, actually it was yesterday morning, we had a call with a potential client based in the U.S. about structuring a syndication, because they're trying to syndicate and setting up private equity funds, and they didn't know what to do. Obviously, I told them what to do, but one big point that I gave them was, because you're a startup, because you're just getting your strategy forming, don't hire lawyers on day one. Don't rush to hire lawyers and spend the money on legal documents. Go talk to your business partners, get your investors, and get their interest first. Then you come to talk to me. They were very grateful because a lot of people would say, I'm meeting with these investors, I need big money from them. Don't I need to present them a thick stack of legal documents to show that I'm sincere. Actually, in certain circumstances, it's not necessary. And I have so much experience. I've seen so many of my clients going around raising funds. I told them, I said, no, you don't need that. You need number 1, number 2, number 3. That's all. Yeah. You don't need a 100-page document from your lawyers. They were very grateful for that advice. Now, coming back to my original point, as a seller, I of course would love them to spend $100,000 with me in the first week, right? I deliver them documents, I charge, they go about it. But if they fail, that's their failure, right? But because I've seen so much of them, I really wanted them to be mindful of all the things that they can think about. Me as a lawyer, as a legal advisor, was probably not the priority that they need to think about, and I told them that.
Yeah. Well, your approach is not to be a service provider. Basically, it's to become a trusted advisor. And when you're giving them advice like that, saying, "Hey, don't pay us now. You don't need to do that," I would imagine that would build great trust very, very rapidly.
I would think so. Yeah, a lot of clients came to me later on because of instances like that. They knew that I wasn't after them just to earn money, but to build up a long-term relationship.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Lorna Chen. You're one of the big leaders for the firm and heading up the China practice here. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lance. Happy to share my thoughts.
Okay, appreciate it. To hear more of our 2 podcast series, Stories from the Top and Tanaka in 3, check out our website, www.lancetanakagroup.com. We're also on LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple, Spreaker, and Google. Remember to discover passion, live your dream.